As soon as we realize it's not freedom we're chasing, it is safety in disguise. You are not really free if you are still being driven by your fear. You're listening to Say It Anyway, the podcast for ambitious women done with holding back. I'm your host, Maggie Susu, and here we talk courage, self-trust, and how to live like you mean it, even when it scares the hell out of you. You know, I used to think commitment meant losing my freedom. That if I said yes and really committed to something, a job, a person, a business, a coaching niche, I'd be trapped and like lose all my options. But what I didn't realize was the fear of commitment was the trap. I wasn't free. I was living in the illusion of freedom because all the avoidance was really just keeping me from the very things I wanted, things that would be available to me if I chose commitment, right? The impact that I could create from consistently showing up, the deep intimacy I could create from being committed and all in emotionally in a relationship, the connection from being committed and putting in the effort into friendships, the financial security that comes from being committed and showing up and being disciplined in a steady business. Most of us are living in a prison of our own making. And like this blew my mind when I like realized this a couple years ago that I was living in an illusion of freedom because I thought I was free because, you know, things weren't that bad. Like I have some money in the bank, I had a decent job, you know, I had like the safety net that even though I was still like dissatisfied and unhappy, not where I wanted to be in my life, like it was okay. Things aren't that bad. And I was still free, you know, like I could change jobs. I was single. I could date different people. You know, you have like these different ideas. I could travel and go to different locations. Like I thought that was freedom, like keeping my options open. I was always keeping my options open. Couldn't even commit to plans on a Friday night because I just had to see how I would feel like that night. Like I liked having my options. And I would tell myself, and this is what I noticed, not just in myself, but a lot of the women that I coach too. We tell ourselves, like, we're cool, we're the cool one, we're fun, we're carefree, spontaneous, and we don't want to lose that part of our identity because we love it. And I mean, it's awesome, right? But what happens is we translate commitment into being stuck, into trapped, into boring. So we don't want to be like that, right? And we think we're protecting our freedom. But what blew my mind when I realized this years ago is I put myself in a prison cell in a cage of my own making because everything I truly wanted was on the other side of my commitment. And all that jumping around, staying cool and carefree, it feels like freedom. But really, it's just our nervous system trying to stay safe by staying unattached. Because maybe somewhere along the line, along the way, we decided that being committed, being tied to something, created a feeling of it meant that we were now powerless, that we were helpless, or it became something that was frustrating to us or created pain in our life. Somewhere along the line, we learned that being tied down was emotionally overwhelming or negative in some kind of way. And so we'd rather avoid it. We don't want to risk feeling that way again. And then we wonder why, as we're avoiding it, and we're living in this like quote unquote freedom, yet we wonder why we still feel so stuck. Like, yeah, things are okay on the surface. They're not that bad, yet you still feel on some level dissatisfied, unfulfilled, frustrated, lonely, not where you want to be in your life, wondering when are the stars going to align. We are in a perpetual pursuit of the life we want, chasing purpose, chasing, a certain lifestyle, chasing finally feeling good within ourselves and feeling happy, yet we don't realize we're in a prison cell of our own making. And the kicker is that we put ourselves in the cell. Yet we are the guard with the key. Hell, we are the warden of the jail. We can let ourselves out at any time. As soon as we realize it's not freedom we're chasing, it is safety in disguise. You are not really free if you are still being driven by your fear, by scarcity, by the fear that one day you'll regret not living up to your potential, by worrying that you'll never figure it out, or by the delusion that somehow one day it'll magically just work out. I know that fear and that thinking really well, even the delusional one. Definitely deluded myself for a long time. But anyway, I I lived so much of my life thinking that commitment meant losing parts of myself. That if I chose something or someone, it would mean giving up my spontaneity, my options, my edge, because I'm cool. I'm free. I do what I want. I'm a free spirit. But what I didn't see back then was how much resistance I was living in to life itself. Like growing up in the household with my parents, being a first generation kid, like I had so much resistance to my parents and the way that they wanted me to live my life, the way that they wanted me to be. Like I had so much resistance to the fact that my situation with my parents was the way that it was. I thought it needed to be different and thought it needed to be like the other kids that I knew and their relationship with their parents. Like I resisted the way things were in the way that I was growing up and the way that I was being raised. I resisted my timing in life. I wanted everything to be now. I wanted things to work out. I wanted to be the best at what I wanted to do now. I resisted being devoted to my career aspirations and what I knew truly deep down I was meant to do. I resisted social norms, trying so hard to go against the grain because I didn't want to just be like everyone else. I've spent so much of my life in resistance, constantly comparing, constantly trying to control how things are supposed to go, arguing with reality. And that resistance, that was my real prison because it kept me in the same loop, chasing freedom, but never really allowing myself to have it. Because to have it would mean that I would need to commit. And my nervous system said, nope, 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 commitment is a trap. Peter Crone says freedom isn't the ability to do whatever you want, it's the ability to not be run by your fears. We're not free if we're slaves to our conditioning and our thoughts. For example, if I am being run by the thought, by the belief that commitment equals I'm trapped, commitment equals being stuck, and commitment equals you don't have any more options. Like all that did was prevent me from making decisions and acting in ways that would actually lead me to my real freedom, the freedom to be in my full expression, to discover the potential of my greatness, to feel at ease within myself, to feel at peace with the being in the flow of my life. Instead, I stayed in resistance to my life. I created the very thing that I was trying to get away from, which was feeling stuck and frustrated and trapped. Yet here I was trapped by the prison of my own making. By believing that in committing I would be trapped, I put myself in the trap. I hope you're following that. You're not free when you can go anywhere. Like, you're free when you can be anywhere and feel peace. Freedom isn't the power to make everything go your way. It's the power to be okay when it doesn't. Commitment isn't the opposite of freedom, it's the path to it. Because when you commit, you stop running. You stop scattering your energy. You finally Meet yourself. And I think that that's the part that really scares us, meeting ourselves, like having the courage to face ourselves and be fully responsible for the life we're currently leading, the life we have, the results we have, and being responsible for the life that we're creating. Commitment will expose those parts that are still afraid or unhealed. But in avoiding and running from those parts, we stay trapped in the prison cell. We stay slaves to the conditioning. And ironically, we become our very worst fear, trapped, when the thing we desire most is true freedom. What if commitment isn't a cage, but a conscious choice? What if it's not about being stuck, but about being grounded, rooted? What if real freedom comes from choosing something with your whole heart instead of staying halfway out the door? Freedom isn't the absence of commitment, it's the presence of choice. Everything you want, the relationship, the purpose, the impact, the friendships that lives on the other side of commitment. And that commitment is your choice. So ask yourself, where am I mistaking freedom for avoidance? Like, where are you really avoiding and pretending and justifying it as something else? Like calling quitting something my intuition, but really you're just scared to fail. Or leaving before you get rejected just to protect yourself. Or when you avoid making a choice and you call it keeping your options open. But really, it's just a fear of committing to an identity or to a direction. What part of you is scared to lose freedom? Maybe it's that part that felt trapped in someone else's expectations, like a parent's growing up, or a partner, or a system, and you swore never to feel powerless again. Or that part that confuses being free with being untouchable. Like you don't know, you don't want to owe anyone anything or risk, needing anyone. Or maybe it's the part that grew up needing to manage it all alone. So you decided independence equals survival. And you don't want to lose that freedom. And once you recognize what that part is, what does that part need to feel safe in order to say yes to something? Maybe something long term. To to know that you can still have choice inside commitment. For example, if you want to be in a relationship and you're scared to be committed to that, what does that part of you need to know? Maybe it needs to know that yeah, you still have a choice even if you say yes and enter that relationship, that hey, like if you decide that that relationship is no longer serving you, you can break it off. Or if you create a business offer and you put it out there in the world, that you can change it. You don't need to die with it. like you can pivot, you can change the offer, you can change your niche. It's okay. But if you stay afraid to commit to that and then you keep yourself stuck in never putting yourself out there, you never find out what could be possible in that world for you. Or maybe, maybe that part of you needs to know that you can define the terms and the boundaries in a professional relationship, or in, if you're entering into a job, choosing to take on a job, that maybe you can redefine some of the terms or the job responsibilities. Like maybe that part needs to know that, to be at ease, to let your nervous system know that it's okay. I can still have freedom inside of commitment. I can still have choice inside of commitment. And I think this one's important for a lot of my listeners, if you relate with me, that choosing to be committed to something, a path, a life, whatever, a vision, you don't need to lose the part of you that is still fun and spontaneous and free spirited. She still exists within you and she still gets to be honored. And she absolutely 100% still can be honored, even as you are in commitment. How can you find ways to still be spontaneous and have fun while you are committed? How can you bring more of that into your life, into your day? And also recognizing that in being committed to what it is you really want to like create in the world, to have in the world, in being really committed, you will get more of what you truly want. You will have more of the, you know, potentially more of the financial resources, or the feelings of peace, and have the connections that you really desire, so that more of what you want is available to you. More of the fun and the spontaneity and all of that you love about yourself, like more of that can become available to you, because now you have the freedom in the finances, the freedom in the time, the freedom in in your within yourself emotionally, to like actually, be emotionally available to that, not be so stuck in the frustration of not being able to have, not having figured it out yet, not being where you're supposed to be yet. No, like in committing, you actually create more of the life that you want. You actually have more of the things that you deeply desire. So you don't lose that part of you. In fact, maybe you're able to amplify those parts of you. And that's beautiful. So can you trust yourself to know that even if you do commit and something is no longer serving you or your highest good, you are not forever cemented and trapped. You can switch gears. You can pivot. What I hope you're really understanding in all of this is freedom is not the absence of commitment. It's knowing you can stay true to yourself within it. It's not your fault your body learned that staying unattached equals safety. But safety isn't the same as freedom. Your fear, your avoidance, it says, I need to keep the door open. Your higher truth says, I can walk through this door and still know my way back to myself. Freedom isn't running away from what scares you, it's staying and realizing you were never trapped to begin with. You are the security guard with the key, you are the warden of the jail. Open the door, allow yourself to walk through it, allow yourself to be committed to yourself. For yourself, for your mission, for your vision, for the impact that you are here to create, for the ripple effect that is yours. As soon as you recognize and step into your power and lead with your heart, with your authenticity, and with your commitment. If this stirred something in you today, don't let it fade. Say the thing, start the thing, do the thing, because the life you want starts the moment you stop holding back and start saying it anyway. If this spoke to you, share it with a friend, hit subscribe. That way you don't miss what's next. Hey girl, thanks for tuning in. If this episode hit home, spread the love. Maybe share it with a friend or drop a comment. I'd love to know what landed for you. And remember, your voice matters. Whatever you're holding back, say it anyway.